My name is Bernard-Henri Lévy. I'm not an economist, so I'm sure I have not a very original, deserving a very specific name position. My position is not so original that it deserves a specific label. No, I think I am a social democrat, as we say in Europe. I believe in free market and I believe in regulations. I believe, like Alexis de Tocqueville or like Benjamin Constant or like all the real theoreticians of the liberalism, that liberalism means freedom, free market and so on, but not the freedom of the jungle, of the savage forest. That it means, it needs and it means too some rules, which America knew. Remember how at the beginning of your modern history, how accurate, how obsessive America was in forbidding trusts, abuses of dominant position, how you were in America so sharp in hunting any excess or abuses of power everywhere. Really, there is a soul, a spirit in a way, of capitalism, which should be not the worst thing in the world. It is the best compared to communism, compared to all that. Capitalism is really the best, but it has to have a soul. And this soul, this spirit, was properly lost in the last 50 years. He meant what is happening today in America. This collapse, this edge of abyss in which you are, this incredible greed, which led the country to this chaos in where it is today. So even when you are an apologist of free market, even when you believe in free market because there is no alternative system, you cannot just believe in it without any rules, without any regulation, without any ethics. The nobility of America, what America had great in the past ages, you might call it Puritanism, ethics of Protestantism, whatever. But what America had great was to combine with free markets some moral rules. You lost that. We lost that maybe, but you are the leading, or you were the leading economy in the world these last decades. You lost the sense of these combinations, of this combination. Free market plus ethical rules. France is something else. It is a mix between this absurd, crazy, indecent, obscene greed, like in America, and also an excess of regulation. We have the two illnesses in France. We have the lack of regulations on the most sophisticated markets. These incredibly clever and sophisticated inventions which were made by the market men and which are made for the worst. It happens in human history that the most sophisticated intelligence works for the worst. So we had that also in France. And we had the reverse, which was an excess of regulation, the 35 hours, the overwhelming strength of the state, the excess of burden which the very weight of the state put on the shoulders of every citizen. So we have in France the two problems which are competing to do this recession. I really believe that what was called communism, which is probably dead, but you have sometimes some living deads. You have some dead who go out of the grave. You can see that in the next times. But communism was not at all a school of solidarity. It was not at all a way of building brotherhood. It was the contrary. People, all those who knew the former Soviet Union knew how strong was the hatred between the human beings, how the social link with its apparent peace, which was imposed by the police, the secret police, and so on, was in reality built on hatred. The DNA, the material, the cells of the social link under communism was hatred of each one toward each one. This was the reality. On the contrary, I do believe you have some magnificent texts of the French philosopher Emmanuel Levinas on that money as itself, money, the abstraction of money, the abstract of money, the capacity which money has to separate things from themselves and to make them circulate between different people, is a way of building some civilization, is a way of making every single man looking out of his little corner of his roots, his field, and so on. Money opens the world, opens the minds, opens the society, and so on. They really created some different ways of thinking, some reflexes, which could be terrible. For example, the lack of individual initiative, the quasi-impossibility of taking a decision. I remember one day, just after the fall of the Berlin Wall, a lady in East Berlin, brilliant, sharp, smart, Democrat, having fought during years and years against communism. And I remember so precisely, in a situation which is a private situation, I will not maybe give the details here, she had to take a decision as a woman, as a mother of family, as a woman, a human decision, yes or no, this or that. And suddenly she burst into tears in her apartment in front of me, burst into tears. She told me, I'm just unable. So I said, okay, everybody can be unable. We have all over the world some aboulique people, some people who cannot decide, and so on. And she explained to me this day, and that was a great lesson, that maybe it was part of her psychology, but she explained to me why it was much more than that. The result in her mind, the precipitation in her soul of the habits created by the regime which has just been destroyed. When you have a state which decides everything, when you have a police who is always awake, when you have a big brother who never sleeps, when you are a country of the everlasting light, watching everything and everybody, reflexes change. People, human beings are human, but they are human first. But there is, you can have some quasi-animal reflexes which come back in under some circumstances. You see that in the situations of genocides. Human beings don't look like themselves any longer overnight. Overnight they change. 60 years of communism was more than overnight, and it made the people change a little, and it changed in the sense of a real mental and moral disease. The communism, the bilan of communism, the whole disaster of communism is known materially. We know the material disease. We have still to write the history of the moral disease.